All right, yeah, here we go. It's time to live long and podcast here. Star Trek First Contact is over. It has been since 1996, but we're just getting started here. I'm Dave Nader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews. We're here streaming live on our Facebook page at Live Long and Podcast. You might also be checking us on YouTube or listening to us on the audio version. Welcome to all our listeners and viewers. We're ready to talk about one of the best Star Trek movies today in Star Trek First Contact, and I am joined by quite the panel. What a panel. Maybe not a complete panel, but we'll get to that. First and foremost, we have my lovely wife, Jane. Hi, Jane. How are you doing, Jane?
Hey, hello.
Jane's here.
Excited for First Contact.
Here to talk about the First Contact. We have my brother, Jeff. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. And we have the ever incredulous Kevin Millard. How are you doing, Kevin?
Good.
All right. And Jody, we're pretty sure fell asleep for all of this. That's kind of the theory, at least. But we're gonna get into this movie. I know, Kevin, you have a hard stop at 3, so we are going to try to move this along. Hey, what a movie! Maybe the most movie of any Star Trek movie in a lot of ways. But hey, let's get some thoughts. Kevin, you had mentioned before we had hit go live. Negative things to say about this movie, and I'm sorry, that was the wrong button. Here we go. There we go. Okay. Sorry, Kevin. While we're scrambling you around,
What do I think of this movie?
do you have anything negative to say about it?
I do. One
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Just the scene when they're out doing the spacewalk. There's almost no dialogue, and it's super boring. In great Star Trek fashion, it is super boring.
It does go on long by today's standards, for sure. But there wasn't a lot of spacewalks and stuff at that point in Star Trek. So it was kind of interesting to see them just sort of in spacesuits out fighting Borg. But
I enjoy that it's long, though, because it's kind of like an homage to like 2001 Space Odyssey. It's kind of like, I don't know, I kind of like it. Like for me, I'm guessing like it's a little bit more realistic, because it's just like, it would take a while to make that walk, and the buttons though drive me nuts, and the plugs and the amount of times that the Borg. I mean, there's a lot of there's too much editing going on there, but I agree with that. But I do like that, the length of it.
Yeah, Jane.
I figured out that definitely First Contact is my favorite movie over Wrath of Khan or The Voyage Home.
From Star Trek 6?
Yeah.
How were your favorite Star Trek movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty. I kind of knew this at the beginning, but I was a little unsure. No, and I know the next movie is absolutely not. So this is my favorite Star Trek movie.
All right, favorite Star Trek movie. Hey, and I have a really vivid memory of watching this movie in theater. I was 13 years old. It debuted in December of '96, so we had just moved to Ontario, and so I was already a big Star Trek guy at this point, make no doubt about it. I saw it at the back then it was known as Famous 8, because there was only 8 screens at the cinema on Brant Street before it expanded to 12 for your Burlington historians out there who might be watching.
Was it the same building? Or
the same building, but they did an extension, actually. Yeah, it was pretty impressive. They added 4 more theaters to...
Wow, I did not
Yeah, I just remember being impressed all the time. Every time I walked by it.
Well, also, and it's still there today in that same movie theater. There is an Enterprise E, it looks like a big pool floaty that hangs from the ceiling, right where they sell the popcorn. And it's still there. I've always said, one day that will be mine. I will get that somehow. Whenever they're tearing this building down, I will show up and say, can I have that? Because I've been eyeing it since 1996. But hey, I'm bringing all this up because I have a real distinct memory of this movie. Especially the opening credits, the way this movie starts with this incredible score by Jerry Goldsmith. Goldsmith, he's back, baby. It's gold, baby. Goldsmith. And, it's a special place in our hearts, as this is the score that Jane walked down the aisle at our wedding. And watching that as a 13-year-old kid, as the credits were coming out, Patrick Stewart, right? And then everybody was clapping in the theater as every name came up. Some names more than others. Like it was like Patrick Stewart, yeah, and then like Frakes, yeah, and then Brent Spiner came up. It was this huge applause. Michael Dorn got this huge roar because he was very big on Deep Space Nine. He was fully integrated into the Deep Space Nine crew at this point. And it's just a really nice piece of music that starts off the movie.
Yeah, and also Jared Goldsmith did Logan's Run. So
he did Logan's Run, yeah. I said that was early in his career, and if you listen to his score on Logan's Run, it is something. It is. It sounds like it's just this weird computer language music, and it opens really big with this flashback of Picard in the Borg cube from the Best of Both Worlds. And this is how we're introduced to sort of this updated look to the Borg, right? So the Borg from the TV show looked, they weren't quite this. So they got quite an upgrade in this movie.
So 96, where are we? Voyager has started.
Voyager started, but they haven't met the Borg yet.
Okay, so we don't have the Voyager Borg.
Yeah, there's no 7 of 9 yet. That doesn't exist. Really, this movie is like a springboard for a ton of Borg stuff that goes into Voyager. Even, the Doctor's in this movie. Ethan Phillips plays not Neelix, but he plays another hologram or whatever in this movie. So there, and there's some Voyager sets.
So the Borg, last time we saw the Borg was with Lore and
at
that encampment.
Right, and then the TV show, they just looked, they weren't as intimidating, right? Like they were just more gray and black and whatever. And this movie, they just made them have like more jagged metal, and there was just a strong makeup update, but not enough to like take you out of it to say those aren't the Borg. It was a smart move. It was subtle. It was you can upgrade a look of a species or a character or a villain as long as you don't like. I'm referring to like Star Trek Discovery, where they tried to update the Klingons, and you just couldn't buy into it. It's just too far.
That was a tragedy.
Yeah.
Right. But that pullout shot in the beginning, it was ILM who worked on this movie. It shows like the special effects in this movie are amazing.
Yeah.
They really are. And it just, it brings you right back to it, like the trauma of the Borg. And then I guess Picard wakes up. It's a dream within a dream. Is that how it starts? Because he gets like the pops out of his cheek thing. And then he really wakes up, and it's a call from Admiral Hayes. He's called to say, yes, he says Deep Space 5. We got a call from Deep Space 5. Jeff was bringing this up last night. He said, why not say Deep Space 9? Why say Deep Space 5? Could they not have thrown Deep Space Nine some love?
Maybe because Worf was coming, and if they were at Deep Space Nine, Worf would have been busy.
Maybe. Well, I think the Defiant is in this movie, so I think they do give some credit to Deep Space.
What's odd about the Defiant being in this movie is the only person from Deep Space Nine on that ship is Worf.
Yeah, and it's not really explained.
Entirely new crew except for Worf.
Yeah, why don't they? Is my question. They don't want to pay those people.
I think I have an answer to this. Yes, they don't want to pay those people. They can't have like Jadzia and all of them in this movie either. I think, right, for financial. I think just there's no time to have them in this movie.
Even if a one scene cameo, where they're fighting,
like Barclay gets in this movie, and I know Barclay's not your favorite, but like if they had brought another Deep Space Nine cast member along, I guess like Sisko would have been the logical one because his wife was killed at Wolf at 359, and he's got this tie into the Borg. But my in-universe like sort of rationale is that for the same reason that Admiral Hayes doesn't want to send Picard to fight the Borg again, he doesn't maybe want Sisko to do the same. Well, look who decided to wake up.
Up.
Yeah, there he is.
I was out doing errands.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. We're pretty much at the beginning.
Hey, I got your mic sounds shit, by the way.
I've told him 3 times.
You haven't.
I've texted you in the host chat. I texted you.
I got a message from.
Your mic is so loud.
Mater, masturbated. Mater.
Oh no.
How's that?
Anyway,
Better.
much better. Yeah.
You were so loud. Oh my god.
You can tell me.
Well, you were talking the whole time.
I don't look at the host.
I'm like scruffy hobo Jody. Today.
I also texted you.
Guys,
Who
just,
texted me?
just tell me next time. All right. Okay. So, all right. Where were we? See, Jody shows up, and then you guys are all
Jane
trying to throw
messaged
me
me
off.
too.
The
I messaged
Defiant
you
not
too,
having
yeah.
It just says
control.
Jane.
That's
I
good.
don't have like Jane masturbator or anything.
Jane and menstruational pain.
Wow.
That's what I got
I'm not
growing
doing
up.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
not going to do that. But anyway. Hey, Kevin, you look rather bright today.
Yep.
What
Smart
happened?
as fuck.
Open the curtains.
What's that?
Yeah, it's good lighting today.
Ah. All right. Anyway, I've delayed this enough. Sorry.
Well, we were just in the beginning of the movie, really, talking about when Picard gets gets the call from Starfleet. The Borg are here. He has the Borg dreams, and
We're live right now. I jumped on the live one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we're already
All
live.
right. Well, I apologize for that. Everybody who might be watching, which is probably nobody, but anyway.
Nobody's watching anyway, dude.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's
no, we have no viewers.
Yeah.
But
They
you never
watch
know.
on YouTube though. There seems to be a lot of views on YouTube.
People find us more on YouTube after the fact. This is more the live audience, but
And, everyone is outside enjoying the sun, most
Yeah.
likely right now.
Well,
Yeah,
I
everyone,
was.
we're in here like dopes talking about Star Trek. Well, it's beautiful outside, but
We're
it's
social
okay.
distancing.
Social distancing.
Anyway, where were we?
Just talk about why we were talking about why Picard. Well, why there's no other Deep Space Nine members on the Defiant, for one thing, because we're saying they didn't want to pay those people, and there was no time to put them in the movie. And if they were going to send anyone, it would be Cisco. I don't think we want Cisco and Picard in this movie together. It would be weird.
No,
So-
but Worf is also
That would actually be kind of
commander
neat though,
of the
because he
Defiant.
already hates him.
Yeah, but why is the thing too that it's the Defiant's there, and Earth and Deep Space Nine are not around the corner from each other. There's a bit of a distance you have to travel. So I don't know why it doesn't matter. It's because Worf is part of the TNG crew and he needs to be in this movie somehow.
Yeah.
But they need to explain why he's not on Deep Space Nine, and that's why.
Yeah, I just found that odd that not one single person.
Yeah, even Nog. They couldn't have thrown Nog in this
You
movie.
can't even throw us a dog. Oh come on! You could throw a Rom in there. Something.
Someone like
Alita?
I guess
Lita.
it would have made sense if Gen Z had been in it. If Gen Z had been in the movie, that would have made sense because it should have been someone from Starfleet. That you're right, probably wasn't Cisco and wasn't Kira. So those two people make sense to stay on DS9. But Gen Z probably should have been in the movie, or you know who really should have been in the movie? O'Brien.
Yeah.
Because he is a TNG guy, but he never got to be in any of the TNG movies.
No, he was not in any of them.
O'Brien should have been in this movie. They should have thrown him.
He
a
should have at
bone.
least been in Generations, but he wasn't even in Generations.
Yeah, because he.
But you got to remember, O'Brien also wasn't a main character at all.
No, he wasn't.
Later
He was
on in the
guided.
series, they ended up making him more of a main character, but
In Deep Space Nine, he was.
but this isn't a Deep Space Nine movie.
Right, but they're introducing the Deep Space Nine ship.
And I'll tell you right now, thank God there isn't a DS9 movie because it would suck.
Why?
Sorry. It would
Hey,
suck.
we're not here to talk about whether a Deep Space
Anyway.
Nine movie would suck. We're here to talk about Star Trek First Contact.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about it. I just made a statement. It's fact. We're good.
I asked for
Okay.
more
okay,
information.
we got to level set.
Jane, we'll talk later.
Anyway,
Alright.
we're
Some
saying last
sidebar.
night, though, that all four TV shows are represented within this movie. Voyager's represented through the Doctor.
And Neil, the guy who plays Neelix is there, but he's not.
Right, yeah.
Uh,
I'm more talking about the actual show, though.
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine's represented through the Defiant and guess Worf. You also have TNG's obviously represented just because by the whole cast, and then the original series is represented by Zevon Cochrane.
Right.
So you have all four shows be it's kind of like the pinnacle. This is the Mount Everest. This is the top of the Star Trek movies, and it's gonna start going down to what we're
I know,
at
but
now.
let's enjoy the high moment while we have it.
I'm just letting
Uh,
everybody know that this is as good as it gets.
For
This is
next gen movies, this is as good as it gets. for
As
sure.
good as it gets, for sure.
Yeah.
No question.
I just want to the whole decision. He gets a call, and then he tells the conference table. He tells his crew, the Borg are attacking. They go, how many ships? What are we doing? And then he says, we're not going. We've been assigned to scan the neutral zone and look after the Romulans.
Hey.
And
For the record, though, this is one of the only Star Trek movies where they're not the only ship that's there.
true.
They're the ship that isn't there.
True.
Yeah. Apparently, they're the only ship that could follow that sphere. But
It doesn't matter.
Well,
That's because for once it wasn't all torn apart either.
No,
Yeah,
it's because Picard is always, instinctually knows what the Borg's going to do. So he told Ensign Hawk, engage, follow that sphere. He was the only one who thought about it.
So when you first saw this movie, and I'm just asking this as a general question, the minute you saw Hawk, you instantly knew that motherfucker was going to be bad eventually, right?
No.
Like, oh, come on. You had to have known that. They didn't add him to the movie so they could be in all the other movies.
I was saying to Dave that Hawk is, who the guy who plays him? I think his name's something McDonough or something like that. Anyway, he
was in Band of Brothers.
He was in Band of Brothers. Only like 4 years later, Jody, and he looks about 15 years older than he does in this movie. In Band of Brothers.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Band of Brothers. The whole point was to make them look like they've been through shit, right?
He's a good actor, that guy.
He's a great actor. Yeah, I like.
And
him.
he wasn't. This is one of his first roles that I remember him being in. But here's my question. Okay, this whole decision not to send the Enterprise because Picard was assimilated, that he shouldn't be put in a position to fight them again.
Which makes sense.
And fine, right? And Cisco, same thing. Maybe that's why he's not on the Defiant, because he has a personal tragedy in his.
No, nobody wanted Cisco in the movie. That's why it's not.
Cisco. But my question is about Riker. Why wouldn't you send Riker? Riker is the one who stopped the Borg last time. Riker and Data and the crew, they rescued. Riker got Locutus.
Did I miss something? Is Riker in charge of the ship now?
Riker has the chops.
They're not going to send him.
Yeah, but why was Worf in charge of the Defiant?
What's that?
Who was in charge of the Defiant? Wasn't it Cisco?
It wasn't Riker.
Worf.
Yeah, but ultimately,
send Worf to command the Defiant.
Yeah,
they could have sent
Riker on the Enterprise.
They could have dropped off Picard on Risa, and they could have kept going.
In Deep Space Nine, the Defiant is Worf's command.
Yeah,
unless Cisco is on the ship.
Right? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
my bad.
But just the idea, because Riker has the track record. If it wasn't for Riker, they would never have saved Earth the first time, right?
Well, he definitely was a big part of that. Absolutely, yeah.
And Data and Dr. Crusher.
Or was it really Guinan?
Or was it really Guinan who gave Riker that speech?
What?
It doesn't really matter. I just think that it's kind of silly to take the one guy who's defeated the Borg, out of the equation.
Why no Guinan in the movie? That's another character that she's in Generation.
But Riker wouldn't have been in that situation if... Wow, my computer just went nuts. Sorry. No idea what it's doing right now. Anyway, hopefully you guys can hear me.
You're fine.
Riker wouldn't have been in that situation if Picard wasn't assimilated.
Doesn't matter.
It's still Picard's damn ship.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah, but it's Picard's ship. It's his command. They're not going to send... What are they going to do? Go, okay, Picard, we don't want you in this, but you need to fly his ass over here so you can command the ship, and we'll just put you off somewhere? That's not going to happen.
It's for the survival of humanity. I would put aside any hubris or hurt feelings that Picard might feel. And bring in...
But how much time did they really have here? What's the time period? I thought they said 3.5 hours to get back to Earth. We're not talking... days here where they could make decisions.
No, they only had a couple hours.
I don't want to stay on this too long, but it just to take the Enterprise out of it is ridiculous, and especially to take.
Well, not only that, but what's interesting is Starfleet sends a message basically saying that they've engaged the Borg, and they're like, "But you're not going," and then they defy it and go anyway, and they show up, and the battle's still going on. How the fuck did that happen? It should be over by now.
They were more effective in this fight.
Well, they've learned how to deal with things a little bit better, but I guess. But
I like, though, in this movie that they set up that Starfleet has made the decision that he is not to be there, right? And that they, near the end of the movie, it's borne out that that's the correct decision.
Yeah.
He almost screwed everything up. He needed Lily to tell him what to do.
Which is literally the worst fucking character in this whole movie. I hate Lily.
What?
Lily is terrible.
I think Lily.
Terrible.
All right, I was saying to Dave that I think maybe Lily was originally written as Whoopi Goldberg.
I thought she was Crusher originally, especially with she.
I actually heard something about it being Crusher
in the Captain Ahab scene. I think that was originally written as Crusher. I think I read that one.
Oh, that's fine. No.
I've read something similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole Lily thing was it was something that happened after.
I think she's great in this.
It wasn't
movie.
in the first draft of the script, from what I understand.
Alfre Woodward, who plays Lily, I think is.
I thought
great.
she was fantastic too. I mean,
I'm not saying she's a terrible actress or anything like that. She's fine. I just do not like the character, and every scene with her in it in this fucking movie is worse because of it. I'm sorry, that's just how it is.
I don't think
At least
so.
with me.
But that's okay.
I disagree, but
Actually, there is one scene where she's basically giving it's near the end of the movie, and she's giving Picard guff, and she's basically, I think it actually is the Captain Ahab scene, and that is good. I will say that she's like, basically you can see the rage in her eyes, but the whole like her walking around with Picard half the time, that was fucking terrible.
You don't like that when they're in the holosuite and she's like, I think you got him.
The holosuite movie was terrible.
My favorite line of hers is when she just looks at him and goes, "I'm sorry, it's my first ray gun."
Yeah.
There's a lot of great. Like, what I do like about this movie is that it breaks up in a lot of parts. Like, I think that holodeck scene breaks things up. I think that
that's actually one thing I don't like about this movie is that the pacing is just all over the place.
Well, they are going back and forth between like what Picard's doing on the ship and what Riker and Jody and all them are doing on the planet.
Well, they have to, right?
Right, and so that's sometimes hard on the pacing, but it all kind of.
That's what I love about Star Trek is the A and the B story. Like, that's what I love.
Right.
But 2 movies ago, we were on Undiscovered Country, where the pacing was nonstop good. It was always. The pacing was perfect in that movie. And then we got Generations where the pacing wasn't that good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't that good.
This is better. This has more pace.
I don't think this is better pacing. I think Generations has better pacing than this movie. This movie is definitely a better movie, though.
I would say that I think that First Contact did the best of what the TNG show did and put it into a movie. I don't think Generations was more of an homage piece to passing the torch is literally that movie.
Yeah.
This movie is more like the best they storyline they ever had really with TNG, which was Best of Both Worlds. Probably it's the most iconic. It's the most.
This is the best TNG movie, and it represents TNG the best, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like I was saying to Dave that it's basically a horror movie. This movie, like if you like the way, like there's certain scenes where when the Borg are first assimilating people at the beginning of the like when they're taking over the ship, the one girl like goes up a Jeffrey's tube and then she turns to the camera and then like she just screams. She just screams. There's a whole bunch of horror elements.
Well, there's the scene with Crusher in the sickbay, and they're fucking hammering on the door, and they're making like fist marks in the door.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Which I can't believe that they make shitty doors like that in the future, but apparently that's an issue. Like, how do those doors bend that easily? Like, come on.
And didn't Worf, when he turned into like Primordial Worf, remember with the Barclay disease, didn't he like pry them open to get in the sickbay? Remember that episode?
The relative strength of sliding doors on Star Trek is not consistent.
It's definitely that's something that needs to be addressed.
I'd also like to talk about the title of the movie because the fact that it's called First Contact and not called like Star Trek Borg or just from a marketing perspective, most people that even like Star Trek probably don't even really knew what like First Contact was going into the movie.
They marketed this movie as just this was the Borg. Right?
That's right, but it's called First Contact.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I don't
to Jeff's point though, the title of the movie does not portray anything to do with the Borg.
No, that's okay.
No. Like you wouldn't even know if you didn't see the actual like movie poster for this movie, you would never know what this movie is really about. If you're not a fan.
Just from the title.
Obviously we knew what First Contact was.
Well, it's
talked about all the time. Yeah, it's talked about all the time in Star Trek. So if you're a fan, you obviously know. But.
Just from a marketing perspective, Star Trek always did this, where it seems to anyway, where they'll name their movie something that isn't necessarily really super relevant to the movie, but it works. Like it makes yes, First Contact's very relevant to this movie, but the movie's ultimately about the Borgs trying to stop First Contact. So they didn't call it Star Trek Stopping First Contact. Or, you know what I mean?
Well, think about Insurrection, right?
I think that's a huge plot hole too. Is would the Borg really go back and try to stop First Contact? Like, is that what they'd be like? Oh, this didn't work. Let's go back in time. And
well, if they were, I would hope that they would be a little smarter about it. And they're like, why don't we go back in time where we can't be seen by the Enterprise and they'll never be able to stop us. But it was almost like they were baiting the
Did it in
Enterprise.
front of them.
Well,
Trying
you have
stop
to remember, though, technically they did go back in time before First Contact because they saw the planet turn into a Borg-related planet in front of their eyes. So you assume that they probably went down like when it was really, pre-industrial age, when it was really easy to take over the planet, right? So that's probably what happened. They didn't technically go after Zephyr Conqueror or anything to do with that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
No, they shot at him, and then they went back in time. Well, they went back in time. Then they shot at him.
They were already back in time.
Yeah, but that wasn't But when you think about it, is that really we don't know for sure that was the actual thing. They ended up following him through that, but they could have went before that even. They can go back and forth in time all the time.
To argue about time, we don't have the time.
Fucking Deanna Troi and her one line that was decent.
She was good in this movie because she was
Yeah, when she was drunk.
Drunk Troy is the best Troy.
Drunk Troy is the only good Troy. Anyway.
Oh, I mean, I'll take.
No, but what I'm saying, Jane, is that we saw them attacking obviously the base where Zephyr Conqueror was, but in reality, even if that didn't work, they could just go back even further if they wanted. Like,
that's probably time
If they
travel.
have time travel technology, they could even do this over again, and the Enterprise wouldn't be able to stop them. So,
But this is what bothers me about Star Trek is because they throw that in because this should have been called Star Trek First Coincidence, because that's probably what it is. Well, let's be honest, almost all of them are coincidental. But anyway, obviously most movies are. But what I'm saying is, like, they could, at any point in time, like, if it's so easy for the Enterprise to fucking do this, or at least understand it, how come they can't go back and take off the Borg before it's an issue? Like,
that's why you gotta just
this
let
whole time thing
go,
just drives
not
me nuts.
overthink it. It is what it is.
And, we had it in Generations as well.
anything with the time travel, we don't. It's like she said.
All the next gen movies, for the most part, are all about cheating death or youth. That's what they're all about.
Well, the Generation certainly was, and this one's more about trying to go conquer.
Insurrections about the Fountain of Youth, basically.
Yep.
Yes.
And what's his name is about
Nemesis.
Nemesis is about basically dealing with a younger version of himself.
It's a clone. Yeah. And then, but this movie's not about being a younger version of yourself.
No. This has time travel in it.
It has time travel, but this movie's more about like the Borg trying to stop humans from. I think to your point before, I was thinking about this, that I do feel like when the Federation blows up the cube at the beginning of the movie, and Picard says, aim at this specific spot, then the sphere comes out of and then they create the Temple Wake, and then they go back in time. I feel like the sphere of the Borg was like this last ditch effort just to fuck with Picard, or just to they were just like, all right, we're gonna go do this. Like, I think they were self-destructive, like you were saying before.
Let me ask you this: if Picard knows where to aim on a fucking cube, why didn't they already know that?
Like, his whole
this guy had to have been fucking debriefed at one point or another.
No, he only
Maybe it just happened right then and there that he realized it, because you hear something or something in his brain, and then he's like, fire there. Like, he didn't know ahead of time.
That's what I think. I think they give us the point that in this movie multiple times where Picard just sits back and he goes, the Borg.
Yeah, well, they presented that Picard has some kind of connection to the Borg still, psychic connection. I don't know. And like most Borg that we've seen that have been freed from the collective have some of their implants left in. Now, from what we can tell, Picard has none of his implants, but maybe we just can't see them. So we're led to believe that he is somehow telepathically, psychically connected to them, and this gives him this ability to fight.
The fan theory is that when he got assimilated, it screwed up his artificial heart, and apparently that has something to do with his ability.
But he wasn't fully assimilated. He was like half assimilated, right?
No,
he was assimilated.
Fully. I don't know.
I don't
No.
know the full assimilation.
How do you be half assimilated? He had a
did-
fucking laser in his head, James.
Okay,
He
aside
was
from laser in
assimilated.
his head and pale skin, he didn't.
They
He didn't
get
do his
his arm,
arm. He
they
didn't.
amputated
He
him.
wasn't wearing the suit. He wasn't like he was half. He was still kind of thinking more than being a full drone. It was still
He
Picard.
was,
It wasn't a complete drone.
I think
They
he was
kept-
still post-op at this point.
That's
I don't
because
know.
no, Jane's right because they explained this at the end of the movie where the Queen and Picard are talking to each other, and Picard says, "You wanted to make me like this partner in crime with you, to be like this representation of humanity for the Borg or something." Like he was
like
different.
a liaison, yeah.
So
He was a liaison. Yeah.
Jane is actually correct that Picard was like this. He was still Picard, and he was assimilated. So
They kept him a little bit more human.
yes.
So that was easier
Well,
for
you
him.
saw him
to-
suffering when they were doing the implants and stuff when he was assimilated, right? Like you
Oh,
saw him
yeah, yeah.
crying
Oh.
and all that shit.
Are we really debating whether or not Picard was assimilated?
Fully,
I don't think we're debating it.
100% assimilated is the debate. What percentage of
Okay,
assimilation?
well, I say
I don't think it matters.
He was
Anyway.
assimilated, but they're like they explain at the end of the movie. Like the Queen talks about how, like he calls her and he's like, "You wanted to make me this like liaison." Like he was not just a drone. And
Yeah,
then
Dave, he's a hybrid.
yeah,
He's a hybrid. Yes.
okay, he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid Borg. It doesn't.
And if the Borg
matters
is so
to me.
smart, okay, if the Borg is so smart as a collective, which let's be honest, that's how they're portrayed. They're portrayed as smart individuals for the most part, or at least a smart collective. Why is the Queen there? You don't send your first command into the first battle of any military operation.
True.
So you would think out of all these, like that just doesn't make any sense either. Like the whole Queen being in this just drives me nuts too.
the Queen is like she comes back in Voyager. She's not actually there. Like she's just like there's multiple queens. There's probably been like 30 queens or who
Or
knows?
like she said,
Well, it's
we
like a
think in
hive
such-
thing, right? Yeah.
we think in three-dimensional terms. right?
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
But ultimately, it looks like she died. But did she really die at the
No,
end? You know,
she's
who knows?
back in
Yeah,
Voyager.
yeah,
She's not dead.
yeah. She was
Like,
back in Voyager. Different actress, but still the Queen.
right.
Oh, okay. So,
Dave's like, oh, we can talk about the movie.
can we talk now? Are we not trying to debate how much assimilation he
Can I
went through?
finish? Can I finish?
Can I finish?
We're gonna finish.
Okay, so I'm just going to get to the point. They're back in time, and they blow up the sphere, but and so they think that the Borg are neutralized, and they realize that
because they already shot and killed part of the installation where Zephyr
Yeah,
Conklin is.
we see them firing at the thing, and they don't put it together as fast as you would think, but then they go, what's the date? Okay, it's 2063. They're stopping first contact, and we don't, as the fans, as the audience, we don't quite know what this means.
Okay, I have a question about that. Okay, so he says, first when they first come to the Temple Rift, he says the approximate year is like mid 21st century. Okay, and then he goes the date. What's the exact date? How do they know what the exact date is? There's no
Searchers.
investigation done. I mean, is it just the computer?
Yeah, the computer figures out where all the stars are.
You
where
can
the
figure it out
planet's
from the
going,
stars.
all that.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, because he does say astrometric readings,
Yeah.
but he doesn't give an exact date. Of that.
Not right
Well,
away.
you assume they can tell based on the brightness of the stars where they are, all that stuff.
Position.
Yeah, he
Which
does a
stars
kind
are
of
still there?
He does an unthorough scan first. He goes based on the radio,
It has been explained before.
the radiation
Like, can do
atmosphere.
that,
I'd say
so.
we're about 10 years after the Third World War.
Third War. Yeah.
They
It's more
say
of an estimate, though. They didn't know the exact date.
they were firing at a missile complex in Montana, and it takes. I'm surprised it takes them all this long to put it together, but whatever. We don't know because the audience. This is a new concept. Now, Zephyr Cochrane was a character that was introduced in the original series. And he marries a big ball of electricity in that episode.
Of energy. Yeah.
But for those who haven't seen it, but that's that's later after these events have happened, right? So Zephyr Cochrane was a name I knew from that, and he had been referenced as the inventor of warp drive. But this is the first time he had been played since the original series. And, I guess we get the whole Cochrane and Lily on the planet, right, before even the missiles start firing, because.
Yeah, because they're in the bar just before.
They're in the bar before actually they start getting the missiles.
And
fired
she's
at.
trying to get him out of the bar because he's already loaded, and he's like, "Let's go have another drink, Lily."
Right. Is this all on the same night?
Yes.
So, like after the attack, he kept drinking. He came back to the bar and kept drinking with Troy later on.
Oh, that I don't know.
It must be because
I
this
thought
is
you
the
meant
day
the
before.
attack and the bar.
The whole movie has to take place in like 36 hours or something,
yeah.
or less.
Well, yeah, because he's supposed to be doing his first flight the next day.
The
Yeah.
next morning. He's going up in like at 11 a.m. the next morning.
Which doesn't
So,
make sense because the next morning, Barkley and all them are running around getting shit done.
right.
So you can't tell me that they had everything all ready to go after that.
At one point, Picard said we have to get this done within 48 hours. So it kind of was like,
Yeah,
48
I don't know.
hours. So anyway, whatever.
It's a time travel movie.
We
It's
don't
going
have
to be
time to argue about the time, like Troy said. But you know, when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, 2063, and we're that's only 43 years from now. So I'm like, these two people would be alive. They would be like Zephyr Cochrane would be like 20 right now, right? Or something like something like
Something
that.
like that.
And it was like,
He's not real, Dave. He's a character.
yes.
What does this matter?
Fuck off. I'll talk about what I want to talk about.
So, Picard, how much
I love
has
you,
he
Dave.
been simulated? 100%? 75%?
You just do that to piss
You're
me
just
off.
so jolted now. You're like,
Well, every week you're like, who cares? I don't want to talk about that. Maybe I don't want to talk about something you want to talk about.
It
So
just gets you
it's-
going.
Yeah.
I apologize, Dave. I didn't mean to offend you.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. I don't even know where I am. Do you want to lead this?
Okay.
Sorry, Dave. He's so jolted.
Yeah.
I got him.
So it's a great movie.
Great
Yep,
movie.
great movie.
Great movie.
Shooby-dooby. All right. Anyway, he would have been around 20 now, Dave. What was your point?
Well, why is he into Oopie Doobie?
Why does he like? Yeah, well, that's a good question. Why does he like old Western music?
Roy Orbison.
Yeah,
song.
Roy Orbison and stuff. Like,
Well, some people like classical music right now. Like Mozart. Why do you like a 1700s?
Are you seriously
composer.
questioning somebody's taste in music? You don't listen to anything for someone your age.
True.
that's true. That's a good point. Except from Cochrane. He likes the oldies. I guess it's second generation or two.
Yeah, I hate that song though in this whole movie.
You got upset at me because
It's not a good song.
They should have
You
picked
got
a better
upset at me
song.
because I stopped you during that point. I might have saved you, man.
Yeah. No, it wasn't playing at that point.
They should have picked a better song though. Like I think that is a good flaw of this movie. That
I like the Magic Carpet Ride song that they,
Yeah.
they
It's
have
good.
in here.
yes,
But this Oopie
Well, we
Doobie
had-
song.
In the reboots, we had Beastie Boys.
Yeah, I would have picked a different
Beastie
song at
Boys.
least. It's not even so much the age of the song is just like I guess the recognizability of it.
It
be
wasn't.
quite honest-
It's not a good song.
Honestly, I didn't know that was Roy Orbison. No idea.
no, neither did I. I mean,
Neither did I.
I just thought it was something they made up for the movie.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was just like royalty. Why did they get this royalty-free music to put in here? This
Yeah.
generic rock and roll music.
Like, you literally telling me that that's Roy Orbison? I didn't fucking know that till just now.
I didn't know
So-
if I looked it up. Yeah, I was like, what did
I'm
they
actually kind of disappointed now because of that. I don't
so-
mind Roy Orbison, some of the stuff.
So after they destroy the sphere, they kind of figure it out. Then they say 21st century civilian clothing. And so Picard and Data and Crusher and a few others, they all go down first. And they kind of find the carnage in the wake of this Borg attack. They eventually find Lily. She's shooting at Data with the machine gun. And he drops down and goes, greetings, and all that stuff. And there's all those scenes like where, they touching the warp ship or the Zephyr Cochrane's ship, and it's no more real to me, Captain, than it was a moment ago. And
I want to talk about
I-
this part real
I
quick.
love this scene. I turned to Ashley yesterday and I was like, could you imagine shooting somebody like that and they turn around and they're not only not hurt, they're not even mad. Like
Yeah, they're just like,
Yeah.
hi.
that would be cool.
But if he reacted in a different way, Lily wouldn't appreciate it as much, I think.
No, it's
Like
it was-
she instantly she ended up just passing out, didn't she?
Yeah.
She was like,
yeah, because she's
"Oh."
got the radiation poisoning, so they got to take her up to the ship because I guess she's got the worst of any of them. And there's no lectures about the Prime Directive. I'll keep her sedated. But it's not too long after this that first we see that those engineering guys, that the people that Jody left in charge, get assimilated, and then the horror movie, we kind of realize that the Borg are on the ship, and Picard is getting his psychic inclinations, and he knows, and he calls up. He goes, "What's going on?" And Worf's like, "Not much, like we're having some problems with the environmental control. No biggie." He's like, "I'm coming right now." And he gets they get up there.
And he goes, "I gotta bring data. Riker, you deal with this."
Yeah. He leaves Riker behind. He goes, "Riker, you got this down here. I'm going." And why does he want to bring data? He just can't go anywhere without data because he can't really do much without data.
Well, he's a frail old man.
So
he's got to bring his muscle with him.
Right. And they say, "Well, what was going on? Tell me exactly what was going on, Worf, before you lost contact with Deck 16 or whatever." He's like, "Well, there was it's getting hotter." And he say,
39.1 degrees Celsius.
39.1 degrees Celsius.
"Like a Borg ship." Yeah, that's hot. 39.1 degrees Celsius for Americans out there is like.
How does
100
this
degrees.
ship not notice that there's extra bodies on it?
Yeah, I also wonder how many
With
more.
all the sensors they have and everything, how does it not know there's something going
And then
on?
have dampeners on their bodies and their shields.
I don't
perhaps?
know.
Who knows?
I just don't know. I kind of wonder how many Borgs they started off with, because they assimilate over half the ship in like a few hours, right? As this movie goes on. And I'm like,
Well,
did
they
start-
said that they scan the sphere just before it went in, and they're like, there's like 4 life forms or something.
No,
I
but
thought they did.
Not sure.
I don't remember that.
I think
Remember
so.
that.
Oh, okay, I could be wrong.
No, but like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. But like, I guess the Queen and a handful of drones got over from the sphere, and so they, one by one, they start assimilating the crew members, and I guess they turn up the heat. This is a new thing also with the Borg that they hadn't really introduced, is that the Borg like it's sweaty, and we see that. I guess it's just to make them, maybe make
It keeps the lube warm.
keeps the lube warm. Yes, all that.
Don't electronics generally not want it hot? Like in a server room, you want to keep it cold.
I'll tell you why they did it. Was to make the characters have to wear less clothing, so when they're shooting all day and they don't have to wear those freaking hot, heavy, fucking uniforms. Especially the ones you dislike, the ones with the carpet ones on the sharp.
I love those ones.
Oh, I don't like them at all.
They are some of my favorite ones.
Dave hates them. He cannot stand
I like the uniform, which I think is this one, if I'm not mistaken, where it's all gray for the most part, and then just this part here is colored.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they got I don't like the collar. The collar's stupid. But
Yeah, we can talk about like the new updates. Yeah, like so, like the uniforms are new. The Enterprise E is obviously very new. And Jody doesn't have his visor anymore. He's got
which they don't explain. Really,
No.
they just kind of show him with it out, and then
Yeah,
they
it's
teased it in the last movie that like he could go through a procedure to make him look more normal. When
but
Soren-
they also said, why would I want to be that? Basically, like he kind of
Yes.
shunned it off, didn't he?
I guess Soren got through to him with that
Yeah.
little speech.
Soren literally did manipulate him in more ways than one.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. Like I'd say that of those three things, the thing with Jody has no visor bothers me the least. I'd say that the uniforms.
It's not a big deal.
Uniforms I never liked that much. They're fine, but I don't like that they zip up here in the front, and there's some things I don't like about them.
I like
They look
that the ship has a red floor.
Yes.
That's the other thing I don't like about the ship is that the ship has a red floor that's more metallic and has sort of this gradient. It makes it look more like steel. I don't like that. I think it should be more carpeted and more comfortable.
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice either.
I had no
Red-
idea.
Never noticed the red floor?
Red.
It's the only
I had
time
no idea.
I did notice it, but it doesn't matter to me.
everything's red and like burgundy in this movie. Like
It
all
is.
the
There's a
dark-
lot in burgundy for sure.
Yeah, the decor is very different, and the Enterprise E, not just like the floors, but just the design of the ship. I don't like it as much. It's too dark.
You don't like it because it's long.
It's long and dark.
and hard.
And hard. So it intimidates me.
Want it be long
It
and
intimidates me. I love it.
light
That was
colored
great.
and
It's long, dark, and hard, and it intimidates me.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great line.
Get your book out, Ashley.
Yeah, that should be written down.
Right. Yeah. Just like I don't know. It doesn't matter. I know the rest of the group likes the Enterprise E, I guess. So I'm outlier.
I like
here.
the darkness because it's a darker movie. It's more of a horror movie.
I'm fonder
fits.
of the D because the D is what I grew up with. But the
It's
E, I don't have a problem with it.
It's a great movie version of the Enterprise.
Yeah. I don't think I would have liked it if it was in the show. Like if I had to see it all the time.
The feel of the show. It's dark because this is a darker movie.
Well, it's a darker time in Starfleet as well, I think.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of like the Dominion War is also going on, right? So
yeah.
Which isn't mentioned whatsoever.
Now it's worth noting with the uniforms too that when this movie hit theaters in December of '96, Deep Space Nine had not made the switch over to the uniform yet. That didn't come until a few months later, so these events don't correspond directly with the events of the show at the time. There's kind of a little bit of a gap there. They're fine, but they're not my least favorite. But they're not. I think that they're too heavy looking. Those uniforms.
Yeah, I agree.
You look like you could get warm in them. That's for sure.
That's why they made it hot, so Picard could roll around with just his.
Picard, he's like slowly taking his uniform off through this whole movie. Like as soon as they realize that the Borg are taking over, he takes off the jacket. Nobody else does, but he has the vest. And then he takes off the vest eventually, and he's just got the shirt open. And then eventually he takes the shirt off, and then he's got just the tank top. And then I was waiting for him to take it all off, but it did. He took the Borg queen.
Yeah, the pants were coming next.
The pants were coming next. He was going to be going down in his little boy shorts.
Hey, I would have paid to see that final scene with him hanging on that rope in tidy whities. That was
Do you think there's Starfleet issued underwear too, or do you think you just get to use your own preference?
No, you got to wear the issue underwear. There's probably some variants.
Do you think there's like?
It says Captain across.
Do you think the pips are on that too? Like, does he have Captain underwear where he's got like little pips on the side?
That's actually funny. If you try to think of the underwear of all four captains, you're right. Kirk, Commando. Okay, absolutely.
Oh yeah. He didn't wear underwear.
Picard,
underwear would just slow him down.
Picard would be tidy whities, 100%. Cisco would be boxer briefs.
Yeah.
And then, like standard, panties and bra for Janeway. I don't know.
But we saw that
Janeway would have granny panties.
Alice
panties,
Eve
for sure.
in Star Trek Into Darkness was wearing Starfleet issue underwear. So
okay, yeah. What about Archer?
we saw some Starfleet issue underwear.
Archer wears those boxer brief things that are really like tight.
Blue.
Yeah, they're like metallic blue.
So he's boxer briefs.
Oh, like
he's a boxer brief, tight
like
boxer brief.
Or like Seymour?
Yeah.
What's
I don't know. I don't watch Seymour at all.
Do we ever see Cisco in underwear?
Probably not. You see him in shorts.
We see O'Brien.
He's in his
underwear.
swim trunks and shit sometimes.
O'Brien we saw the Starfleet issue underwear, which as I recall, attached directly to the turtleneck portion.
I can't believe that you remember every Star Trek character you've ever seen in their underwear.
That's amazing.
Have you met Dave?
Dave, normally I knock you for this shit, but that's amazing.
I'd be surprised if you didn't know it.
To the
The fact
negligee
that you know that is amazing.
There are things there are Star Trek questions he doesn't know, and I go, "How do you know this, but you don't know that?"
Like what? What don't I know?
There's things you don't
Oh, I know.
I'll learn it if I don't know it already.
I got the wiki.
Now, we're at the part where the EMH cameo happens, which I loved. Everyone, I remember seeing this in the theater when he showed up, and he goes, "State the nature of your medical emergency," and Crusher like curses the thing before she activates. She's like, "I would never use one of these things. Turn it on."
I swear I'd never use this. Yeah.
Right? He's like, "Perhaps you like an analgesic cream." It's just great. That the whole theater roared back in '96 when he came out. So it was.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but yeah, I saw this in the theater.
Were you in the same screening as I was?
Probably not.
No. Okay.
Did you go on opening night, Jody?
I did go opening night.
Did Dave go on opening night?
I didn't. I went to the second showing opening night.
Were you at Silver City?
I was.
Was he when it was Famous 8 before it was Famous 12?
I'm sorry?
Oh, you missed that part of the podcast where we talked about
what you just said.
The Silver City Theater.
Yeah,
It used to have 8 screens.
that's right.
Then they added 4 more.
Yeah, it was only 8 screens back then.
Yeah, I know. I was telling them earlier. It was
Oh, okay.
history
Well,
lesson.
2 of us know that,
Really
I guess.
cinema, Jody. It's very important.
There's a whole bunch of people on the
Back in
internet
Burlington,
going,
Dave,
what
so
does
I
it
don't know
matter?
why you're telling us.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw the second screening. The first screening was at 5:30. The second one was at 7. I saw the 7 o'clock.
And
I remember having a big Borg cup.
Oh.
It had the Queen on one side, and it had like a bunch of like little tiny shadow Borgs, and then it had Picard on the other side.
Yeah, and they still have that inflatable pool toy hanging from the ceiling.
They do actually, yeah.
Going up there, I gotta put a picture of that. But yeah, so then like the movie starts to really kick into maybe more of an action movie at this point, I guess, because it's like Data, Worf, and Picard and a bunch of like security officers all getting their guns. They're like, we're gonna have 12 shots at most, and they kind of unveil their plan. Their plan is to breach that plasma thing in the engineering, which is going to liquefy all the organic material, and that's how we're gonna get rid of the Borg. Because if we take away their biological components, they'll just be balls of metal and mush. They won't be able to do nothing. And then we also get the whole drunk Troy scene, which we've talked about quite a bit already. But I just love my drunk Troy.
I'm sure you have a clip.
Don't go criticizing my counseling technique.
This is the only movie that Troy didn't irritate the shit out of me in, but she still managed to do it.
Yeah,
but there was that brief time where I'm like, oh, Troy's actually not bad, and then it goes to bad Troy again. But
when does it go to bad Troy in this movie?
Anytime you see her, pretty much is bad Troy.
No, she's funny in this movie.
Yeah, she's pretty good in this. I got it's probably her best performance.
I think Marina Sirtis as an actress can be a very good actress. Not in these movies. But she is not like she really has much to do in these movies.
But just the whole, like, when she finds Zefram Cochrane, she's like, don't go criticizing my counseling techniques, and he's nuts, and he wouldn't, and she's been trying to keep her.
The drunk scene was okay, I guess, but it certainly wasn't my favorite scene in the movie by any stretch.
Right. You know, and I
love James Cromwell, and I don't really like him in this movie.
I wish they casted somebody.
Somebody different.
I'm glad that they did get him, though, because really he was, he is Zefram Cochrane to me. He is.
Well, now he is. Like, at the time, he's nothing like the original guy who played Zefram Cochrane.
No.
So
But they brought him back for Enterprise as well.
They don't look
so
like.
So who would have made a better Zefram Cochrane? Which actor? Anyone come to mind? Anyone?
Like from the time or now?
From the time or now, whenever.
I don't know.
From the time, who would have been a good Zefram Cochrane? That's a good question. No, too mainstream. Like, you know who would have been cool? Somebody like Matthew McConaughey would have been.
Cool.
Yeah.
I need to invent warp drive to keep out.
I can see him.
These Borgs. More bad guys.
He'd be like, yeah. We're gonna go hit warp speed.
It's gotta be someone damaged.
Imagine Matthew McConaughey. What? You want me to fly a warp machine? Or all right.
all right. Let's get into this missile and let's get her
Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr.
He was in prison. He was in
prison at this point.
Yeah, he was busy at this point.
Yeah,
he was not available.
I don't mind Zefram Cochrane in this movie, aside from the fact of the Ooby Dooby stuff, which is not the actor's fault.
Ooby Dooby stuff.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's I don't know. They need to. I don't know, to make him seem a little bit more relatable. I think they tried, but there's something wrong with Zefram Cochrane's character.
They obviously were. Well, they were writing him to make him look like a dick because they wanted everybody to have such a high standard for him, and then to realize that he's not really the guy that everybody expected him to be. I get that, but the character isn't very lovable. Like he's a lot more lovable later on in the movie than he is when you first meet him. Like even the whole Barclay scene with him is just Barclay's terrible to begin with, but
Jordy's worse.
Jody is worse. This is the only movie that Jody didn't get fucking abducted though.
That's true.
He's always getting abducted.
Yeah,
that guy's got terrible timing.
So we get this whole juxtaposition between everything with Zefram Cochrane, and then we keep going back to the ship, and it's like grim, dark. They're running from the Borg, and the next sequence is like what Data turns off is like a motion chip, right? Because he's feeling anxiety, or Picard tells him to turn it off.
Lock and load.
Right, and so they're like, lower your weapons. They'll ignore us until but until they pull that manual release, the Borg then eventually like kick in, right, and like they start going after them. And this whole like, don't let them touch you. We get that. This is like the first scene where we see that the Borg, how fast they can assimilate you, right? Because before then, it hadn't been portrayed this way. The whole like assimilation tubules are introduced in this sequence, and how intimidating these Borg are, and that they're more like physically.
This is the first time we've seen this, really. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Barkley is terrible, Jim Edelson. I agree. 100%.
But only if you can spell it. It's not, So.
Yeah, it's not.
He's not even good enough to spell it right. Like
that's right. You don't need to.
Is the worst. Who cares how his name is spelled?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Do you want to call him
Barkley
Broccoli? Are you like those bullies on the Enterprise who were calling him Mr. Broccoli?
Reg.
100%.
It's Reg though. He's Reggie.
Reggie.
Ugh.
He was terrible.
Better.
He was terrible in Voyager 2.
I'll take Reg
He's
over.
the worst. Why is he in so much?
I'll take Reg over.
He's like Jody. Why is he in so much?
Over Crusher.
I love LeVar Burton too. Like LeVar Burton is an amazing person, but it's just Jordy's
I'm not so down. I'm not so down on Barkley as the rest of you, but I like just. Like just the whole scare, and then they grab Data, right? They kidnap Data in this whole sequence. We get the Borg vision, like seeing through the eyes of a Borg, which is all weird.
Which is really not great vision. They should improve their cameras.
Jeff Mader, what does he say?
Jeff Mader's interest is off the charts because it looks like Jeff's like doesn't care about this. He's like facing the wrong way, and he's like just like you know.
I'm just waiting to have something to say because
you got to chime in. He's waiting to chime in.
Right.
Like
are you waiting for me to get to a specific part of the movie?
No, I just like
he's only adding when he needs to add.
Yeah,
he's like Kevin. Kevin only jumps in when he needs to jump in.
So when that guy
when he said Barkley's the worst, it's true.
Yeah. When that guy gets assimilated by or gets the tubules, right? And Picard, he goes, Captain, help, right? And Picard just phasers him. Like that was like a pretty shocking moment, I thought, when I first saw it.
Especially for an XB, which Picard is, to just go, you're killed. Can't be brought back.
You gotta remember though, he's experienced this.
I know.
Like,
he knows what it's like to be assimilated.
Jeff's not like Silent Bob. I'd say that's more like Kevin.
I wouldn't agree with that.
I'd say Kevin.
Kevin's more like Silent Bob, I think. Yeah.
I'm more like Dante.
Dante. No, your brother is more like Dante. Anyway. Edelson's got no love for me, though, apparently. Fuck you, Edelson. Let's kick him out of this thing.
See what he says next.
Now he's going to be like, fuck you, Jody. Anyway. Wouldn't be the first time I've been told that today, even.
All right. We get the introduction of the Borg Queen not too far after this, where we hear a voice, at least, where Data's like, you won't be able to break the encryption codes. And so we start.
Do we all love this entrance of the Borg Queen?
No.
When she comes down, like,
I think it's incredible.
I think it's
You like that?
Yeah, I love
really?
it.
I didn't
at
like
the time, it was considered amazing.
It was amazing.
No,
I remember
it is.
that.
All I remember is in the theater when I was watching it, I remember one person go, "Oh shit, it's her." That's all he said. Like the movie was like everybody was dead silent in the theater, and one guy's like, "Oh shit, it's her." That's all he said. It might have been you. It might have been you, Dave. I don't know. I didn't know you back then. You would have been young though.
But we didn't know her. Like she
how old
was
were
brand
you
new
then?
at that point.
I was 13.
No, but I guess the guy was insinuating that like she's the one in charge kind of thing.
Oh shit, it's her.
Yeah. Oh
She
shit,
made
it's
it
her.
all-
She's
Okay,
in
yeah.
charge. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea of a Borg Queen, I get it. Like, I've gotten used to it now. Like, I didn't love it at the time, but
The Borg are a metaphor for like bees, right? So it makes sense that they would.
drones, bees, hive mind, it all works for sure.
Yeah, they're
It's-
like ants, basically. Yeah.
it's
No, like
logically
bees. They're like bees. They have a nest. Like
Colony.
That's not true. But anyway, I didn't see my name at all. But anyway, I love you, Edelson.
So for a Borg Queen, it made a lot of sense.
right.
Yeah,
So
no,
then they
made
kind of
sense.
break everything down to Cochrane. Riker, Troy, LaForge. They show him in the telescope. Hey, there's the Enterprise. We can't call the ship. We don't know why.
What kind of foolery is this?
And you people, you're all astronauts.
Some sort of
Some sort of.
Some kind of Star Trek.
So the only time Star Trek is said as a line in any of the movies. And then I think it's like, is it Jody and Riker look at each other when he says that or something like that? It's like
almost like you should have said that.
He's like, you said
It's
Star
almost
Trek,
like a
that's-
fourth wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost. Yeah,
It'd be
it's
like
close.
if they said
Star sailors.
if they said somebody said we're in a Star Wars or something like that, I think everybody would be like, oh god, it's a little on the nose, don't you think?
I got an opinion on the Borg Queen. The Borg Queen is dumb. I liked it when we all thought it was just a mind share. I like that better as a science fiction concept. Although
It's more interesting when you don't think there's one person controlling it all.
right, so it makes the Borg more villainous, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, versus more.
That's a very good point, Jim Edelson.
But the whole thing, you know, also like the Borg are very much like the Cybermen from Doctor Who, and you know, like it's not. I don't know. I guess this makes them different than in that way than those characters.
Than
but-
Cybermen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The Borg were way scary to me in the beginning. Like eventually they just became.
Well, Voyager ruined them, but
Yeah.
it's they. Took a
Well,
lot
so
of
did
things
Next
out of it.
Gen. I don't know. They
But
just-
the Borg are so scary in this movie, and by the end of Voyager, you're like, whatever. Janeway
Yeah.
always defeats them.
Yeah.
So who
yeah,
cares,
yeah.
right? It's like, now
We
where
don't need
were
to talk about Voyager, do we?
I love Voyager.
No,
My
it's
head
Read
hurts
Voyager, really.
Thank
doing-
you, Jim Edelson. I appreciate you.
So I mean, like you said, Dave said, like I think this is probably the Borg at their scariest, and it's well done, and like the fact they don't need to be a giant. They already like the Borg Queen is part of the hive mind too. Like she you know, like so it's not like she isn't part of the collective consciousness.
she seems like she's really horny.
horny. She's like wanting to bone.
Good for you. Now, did you guys, did anyone
She
here
wants
find her
Data's
sexy?
technology.
Did you guys
She
find
wants
her
to-
sexy? Because I asked Dave and he's like, no. I thought she was supposed to come off as a little sexy.
She's supposed. Okay,
She
is
is
the Borg
in
Queen
the
sexy?
Is
French
Borg Queen sexy?
For
The
anybody,
Borg
who
Queen
wants
is
to say
absolutely meant to be sexy in this movie.
it. Is she?
Well, she looks like a lizard, so it's hard to say. Like she's
Yeah.
like
She looks like a slimy, sweaty lizard.
Are you asking me if I'm sexually attracted to a weird alien crossbreed Borg thing that looks like a lizard? The answer is no.
Okay,
Okay.
just
My
checking
answer is a little bit.
a little bit.
My answer is a little bit too. I
I like how Dave had to put this
I
quote
think
up,
her
eh?
body is sexy. Like when she gets strapped in, everything below the things
Okay,
that onto
I
her.
have a problem
skin.
with this. I have a problem with this. She's obviously engineered. Okay, why did they engineer breasts on her? They serve no purpose at all to the Borg.
Make her sexier.
Oh, is that what it was?
I think
Sexy
so.
to who?
to Picard.
to
'cause-
Kevin, I guess.
to Picard because they wanted to
Kevin.
enlist Picard into their collective
And Data. They
as
want,
his equal.
they want,
Well, or equal, yeah, so she could find a mate. Like,
Data
I don't
had
know, maybe that's
sexual
why.
relations with Tasha Yar, did he not?
Yes,
He
first
referenced
season.
that. Like,
Yeah.
he
He
lost
doesn't care about breasts then.
I'm just glad he lost his virginity to Tasha Yar, not to the Borg Queen. She was more of a rebound. 8 years later, whatever. Yeah, I don't think she's sexy in the movie at all. I think, especially this whole like 39.1 degrees Celsius that you know that it is. It's like, okay, it's super hot, sweaty, and you're even sweatier, grosser. Whatever.
I'm just surprised that they kept most of the shine off of Picard's dome. I thought that was impressive.
Yeah.
Like 39.1 degrees. Like that's hot, guys.
The lighting
That's
department
Celsius.
doesn't
Because
get
in the
paid enough.
future, the Americans don't overrule everything when it comes to temperature.
Now
We all use a standardized system back in that timeline.
right. We had mentioned so in the whole thing where Data gets like kidnapped, Picard also gets separated from the main group, and he ends up with Lily because she's kind of wandering the ship, not knowing where to go, and they end up together. So at first she has him sort of at gunpoint, and then later on she's like, "Get me off this ship, or I'm going to start pressing buttons." And so he shows her the he opens up the window and is like, "Look, Australia, Solomon, New Guinea. You can, it's a long way down. Hold your breath."
New Zealand.
New Zealand, yes. Shout out to New Zealand.
I can always tell when Kevin's reading the chat.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he just goes like this for a minute. Then he comes back. It's okay,
Yeah.
I do it too,
I don't
Kevin.
want to miss anything.
I know.
Right. Picard and Lily, I think it's a really strong part of this movie. Actually, I think that not that I usually don't like these one-off characters, human characters they introduce, but like she works, and I think it's because there's nobody else to say these things to Picard in this movie.
Yeah.
Like the crew is just like, we're gonna follow you into fire no matter what, Picard. So I think it's important to have somebody who's gonna be an outsider and kind of question his motives, because the whole Captain Ahab, the whole wounded, the white whale metaphor is this movie. That's what this movie is about, and she's there to remind him of that, or to tell him that. And it works.
I would have liked to see Crusher do it instead, personally.
No, I like Lily, definitely.
I can't see Crusher doing those lines like that either, and
yeah, maybe.
And him, and so afterwards, he's explaining things like how big the ship is, the economics of the future, that there's no money in Star Trek. We work to better ourselves. So he's selling her this vision of the future that is idyllic. But then he comes, in moments after this, they go into the holodeck, and he picks a fight with the Borg, and then he obviously he shoots them with the machine gun. That was the whole plan, right?
Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't just say, "Computer, give me
a machine gun,"
and then just shoot them when they came in the door.
True.
No, but they had to dance, and they had to kind of like blend in for a while.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if the motives when he went in was to grab a machine gun and kill them. I think the whole point was to hide from them.
No, I thought he wanted that specific scene because he knew there was a gun on the table in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. But then once he kills the drones, then he all of a sudden all the people are gone.
Yeah, it's a little too abrupt. I pointed this out.
They ran really fast. It was
like we're led to believe everyone ran out of the room because of the machine gun, but like just the way it's cut, like it's just like there's so many people.
Yeah, like 1 second they're there, the next second they're gone.
They're just not there anymore.
Yeah.
It just stuck out to me rewatching this. And yeah, and just like the look in his face, that he is like, he has PTSD. He is really messed up from everything that happened before. And he's not over it. And this is 8 years after, or 6 years after those events. Jim is saying good night. Jim.
Bye, Jim.
Bye, Jim. Peace out.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
And make sure to check out Jim's podcast, Jim's Barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Jim's BBQ Pod.
All right, stay safe, Jim.
It's saucy.
Give our love to the boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, everything works here. What else? Oh, by the way, that whole Ruby, that one that kisses Picard, is the same actress who played Ruby in like the second season of Next Gen. For those who are wondering.
Oh, okay. The long goodbye or whatever.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
I actually knew an episode off the top of my head.
I don't think we need to speak on this, but we have the Barclay cameo at this point in the movie after the holodeck stuff, and we all hate him apparently.
Not you, though.
I don't hate him. But okay, I was saying to Jeff last night, Barclay comes across better than Jody does.
Yeah,
Barclay's like, I just want to shake the hand of the guy who invented warp drive, and then Jordy's like, guess what, man? You get a statue, and I went to a high school named after you, and then also Jordy.
There's definitely some fan service going on there for Jordy.
And Jordy's such a nerd too.
Jody acts like, okay, Barclay, you go away. You're embarrassing the man, and then he goes on to embarrass him way worse.
Way worse.
Jordy's entire makeup through the show and through the movies is he's embarrassing. Like, let's be honest, he's embarrassing. He does a lot of stupid shit. He's terrible with women. Like, he's just the character itself, and it's such a shame because LeVar Burton is an amazing person.
And he doesn't understand
great
humor.
Actor too.
I'm gonna go take a leak.
I never liked his character that much, but I know it was written for him that way. It's not like he.
Yeah, do I like Geordie LaForge because I like LeVar Burton, or do I like?
I like Geordie LaForge because I like LeVar Burton. I can tell you that 100%.
You wouldn't like Jody.
If it was somebody else doing the exact same character, I wouldn't like him as much.
Jody is kind of lame.
Jordy's very lame.
Fine though, he's not.
It's not like he's terrible.
Not egregiously bad. He's
not like Barclay or anything.
Who do you like more, Alana Torres or Jody LaForge?
Oh, Jody, 100%.
Jordy.
I
Jordy.
hate B'Elanna.
Jordy.
I would take a B'Elanna Torres.
I take B'Elanna Torres too. I think she had more to offer.
Who'd you want to hang out with for a drink?
Oh, I just heard Ashley. I want to hear what she says.
I'm just saying, as a character, which character do you like?
All I'm saying is Jody LaForge, where am I? Jody LaForge has the personality of just about every real life engineer I have ever met.
That's true, though. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Stereotypical. Yeah.
I work with a couple. Yeah, okay.
B'Elanna
Okay.
Torres is very much like an engineer too, though.
Right. He just, just the whole way the sequence ends, where he's just like, "I don't detect any leak." He's like, "Don't you people from the future ever go pee?" And he goes, "Oh, leak. That's funny." And just the look he gives them, are like,
Oh, it's brutal.
oh,
It's brutal.
He's just a
True to the character, though.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Jody LaForge is a dweeb, basically.
This movie would have been
Fair.
better if there was less Earth on it. If we had less of the Zephyr Cochrane stuff and more of the ship stuff, this movie would be better.
Yeah, maybe. That's possible.
Not that the movie was terrible, but
Speaking of which, when Picard gets to the bridge with Lily, then this is kind of where things really, it's before they go out on that long spacewalk out to the deflector dish, which,
Yes.
right? So there's a little bit of like back and forth here between, Riker and Geordi chasing Cochrane after that. And then they're going back and forth, but they're kind of happening simultaneously, where they're trying to find Cochrane and they're also going on their 0G spacewalk to stop the Borg, because they figure out that the Borg are turning the main deflector into a
communications
transmitter to call the Borg of this 21st century.
they're going to call them in from the old Delta quadrant there. Yeah.
They're building a big cell phone tower on the Enterprise. Sure, whatever. Okay, so they have to go out there. The three of them have to go out there. Lieutenant Hawk, Worf, and Picard, and maybe Kevin, you said this was your least favorite part of the movie?
Yeah, it's boring. There's almost no dialogue in the whole thing. It's just beeps and boops.
It really is. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
boring, and it
It's
goes
supposed
on
to be really suspenseful, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like it's only suspenseful when they're starting to get caught and they're starting to walk towards them.
It would
But
be
even then, it's not that
suspenseful if you
suspenseful.
didn't know that they were going to succeed for sure.
Right. Well, Lieutenant Hawk didn't. He met his
He
end.
got it.
Okay, Lieutenant Hawk.
No one cares about
he's
Lieutenant
not coming
Hawk.
back from a spacewalk when it's Worf, Picard,
They should have made Lieutenant Hawk more.
Lieutenant Hawk.
They should have made Lieutenant Hawk more important at the beginning of the movie, or they should have given that role to somebody like Barclay and killed Barclay in that moment, or
Yeah, that
something.
would have been great. That would have been my
That would have
been
been amazing.
Yeah.
Is that Barkley
Where the
on the
hell were you,
spacewalk?
Cap?
I just,
That'd been good.
why did I rewrite this movie?
You should have rewrote this movie for sure. That's a great idea, honestly. That's a good idea.
You don't
If they
care
did this
about
with Barkley.
Then at least it would be shocking, right?
All they had to do is say like Barkley's the one that like knows how to do the shit with the deflector disc or something, and he has to go out there to do the locks or something. That
Yeah,
would have been
okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
You're right. That would have been.
Instead of him shaking Zephyr Cochrane's hand.
And
Yeah.
he's a character that could be assimilated. We wouldn't care that much, but we care enough.
It would be
So-
shocking. We wouldn't see it coming.
We wouldn't see it coming. We'd be like, "Holy
Yeah.
shit, Barkley's a
And
Borg!"
if you couldn't do it to Barkley, I would have did it to Wesley Crusher and just brought him into this movie and fucking killed him.
Wesley's like, "I'll go, Captain. I always want to impress you." And then when he goes out, he gets assimilated. Yeah, but then
That'd be awesome.
you'd have to deal with like Crusher bitching and moaning about her son
that's
turned
the-
into a Borg.
But then that's why that would have been a good scene with Crusher giving it to Picard. Then it would have made sense if her son had died. And then she would have had all that pent
It would
up.
have been even better if Picard had to shoot him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Picard. That moment in this movie, by the way, where Picard shoots the one guy, where he's like, "Captain, help, help!" He just shoots him, cold blooded, man. Like you're the guy that was brought
Yeah,
back.
but
from
this is a guy that knows what that is. So you have to kind of draw it off a bit, I think, on
I
that.
get it, but like he's also a guy who's been brought back from it. And
God, they got to make a better version of this movie with.
He's like one of the only
That would
people
be
who has ever
amazing.
been freed from the Borg. Yeah, I always found that a bit of a disconnect too, because like he doesn't try to save Ensign Lynch or that guy or any of them, right? Like he's just like, no, I'm at war with the Borg and all.
Because at this point, there's no time to save anyone.
No.
There's no. They're not going to bring him to surgery
they're-
and start taking out implants. They're fighting for their lives.
Well, they're fighting for the ship and they're fighting for first contact. That's what they need
So
to
it's
do,
either
right?
shoot him now or shoot him later. You're going to end up shooting him.
How do you fill out the death certificate in this scenario? That's got to be a toughie.
You're not dead.
Yeah, but you also died in a timeline that had nothing to do with you. Like the guy went back in time, so he was born before he was born after he died. That's a fucked up birth certificate right there.
Yeah, he died in the past. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. All these Borg in this scene do. And while all
Gravestone.
of this is happening, Data and the Borg Queen are getting it on.
Well.
He's putting flesh. She's putting skin onto his android body.
And he's feeling it.
I was kind of wondering if she gave him a dick,
Do you think they did it?
He
Did
already
they do
has
it?
one.
but like skin. Did she put skin on the dick? Did you
Oh,
wonder that?
Data
wondered
is
that.
anatomically correct. We already know that.
Pisces thing.
Pisces.
I always wondered
And
why
Data is fully functional. We already know that too.
they did
Yeah.
like a corner of his
We knew
face.
that before they even said it. In
He gets this
movie.
corner of his
They said it.
face, and he gets this part of his arm, right? Or,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I bet
mean,
you she didn't, and that's why he decided that he was just going to stick with. 'cause
Right.
You know what?
He's like, let's just be friends.
If that was the first time he had ever felt sex, I think he might have gone with the queen.
That would have been 0.8 seconds might have turned into 7.5 seconds.
yeah, it's just so
yeah, but we
creepy.
saw her get assembled. The only organic part of her is the top part.
Yeah.
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 So she got metal down there, boys.
Yeah. I was kind of like, what is
That ain't gonna be
There's-
fun. That's like
There's
putting it in a
there's
grinder.
other ways to do it, though. She's got a top half.
Jade, that's what I like about you, Jade.
Thinker.
Good on you.
We come back to the fight. The fight's
That's
kind of
forward
wrapping
thinking
up.
right there, Jade. Good job.
After Lieutenant Hawk gets assimilated and nearly stops Picard, Worf, who was in jeopardy from his suit having a leak in it, he tied that up with a little
Borg tube.
extension cord, and therefore was able to shoot Lieutenant Hawk. And then he shoots the thing, goes assimilate this, and they
It's a
blow it
great
up.
moment, great line. There's a bunch
It's
of
a great line.
Yeah.
I like when he
There's
throws
good
up with
one-liners
the
in the
arm
movie.
hanging off of him. That's
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the fact
Set
that
him up with
he brought that that blade with him,
yeah.
and you're just like, yeah, Worf, mess him up, get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assimilate this.
And we also get Cochrane and Riker. He's like, after he's been phasered, right? What does he say?
I'm ready to make history.
He says, Zephyr Cochrane, I don't know who you think I am. I'm no historical figure. I'm no visionary. Do you want to know what my vision is? Dollar signs, money.
I built this ship so I could retire to some tropical island filled with naked women. That's Zephyr Cochrane.
I love that.
Dream.
I love that he's talking to Riker about this because I'm thinking at this point,
Riker's like, hey, can I get in on this?
I get it. Let me tell you about Ryza.
You don't know shit yet, boy. Let me
Yeah,
tell you
Riker-
this.
Right. And I also question in this scene too why Riker, like, yes, they have to tell him about like the future so that they can get him to cooperate with this mission so they can preserve the timeline. But he doesn't need to tell him that there's 50 million people living on the moon. He doesn't need to tell them about like a whole bunch of stuff. You know,
Well, their
I
covers
think
are
they're
already
all
blown at
just-
this point.
It's showing that they're all sort of giddy with hero worship.
Yeah.
right.
So they're
He's not the hero they were.
that's how
expecting.
they're acting. They're sort of spilling their guts. They're just so excited.
Don't try to let history dictate who you are. Just be a man and let history make judgments. And he says that's rhetorical nonsense. And Riker says, "You're the one who said it." 10 years from now, it's a nice moment.
Yeah, that's
And from there,
Who said this? Well, you did.
right, and then it begins the whole war, like the whole stuff where Picard's losing his mind after this. But
I do like that they make it all the humans that are like hero worshippers of Zephyr Cochrane. Like Troy's not a human, and she's not really hero worshiping him all very much. Or,
no, she's like, he's nuts. This
Yeah.
guy's crazy.
this guy's crazy.
that's
And
our
then,
official ship's counselor's opinion.
and then is there another alien down there with him? Not really, right? Yeah, she's the
No,
only
I-
one. So
No, he's the only technically alien.
She's only half alien.
Yeah, she's half human.
Oh, I love too when Lily first sees Worf and he just looks at her and goes, "I'm a Klingon." Like
Okay.
that's going to explain anything to her. Like she's
Yeah.
gonna any frame of reference at all.
Doesn't say hi. Doesn't say how are you. I am a Klingon.
Yeah, for sure. Like, well, what happens after this is that Worf and Picard get back from their little spacewalk, right? They've just been through this intense moment. And then they get the report, we're losing deck by deck. The Borg are marching slowly. And I think it's Worf or is it Picard that says, hey, we need to blow up the ship and get out of here, right? And he's like, no. He's like, well, I must strongly protest, Captain, right?
With all due respect, he says.
You want to destroy the ship
and run away, you coward.
John Luke.
Yeah.
If you were any other man, I would kill you where you stand.
Wow, threatens to kill him.
Yeah, that was put in to make Worf look tough.
Well, I think
I don't think Worf would ever actually say that.
Especially after they just went through like this moment together where they saved the ship and they beat the Borg and now they come in and now they're kind of at each other's throats a little bit about what to do because Picard doesn't want to give up the fight.
Think about the worst thing you can call a Klingon, though.
A coward.
Yeah. A coward.
And Picard knows that.
Absolute worst.
He knows that, right?
Let's look at it this way, though. How big is fucking Picard's balls to be able to say that to Worf?
Yeah. And Worf's like, you're lucky, buddy.
God, massacre.
If it wasn't you, if it was anybody but you, right? And they've been through a lot together.
What I would have liked to seen is after Worf said, if it was anybody other than you, I would kill you where you stand. I would have loved to just send Picard go, try me, bitch. Like, that would have been great.
Well, even at the time, I'm like, what about Cisco? Cisco's also your captain and whatever. And
he would kill Cisco where he stood.
He would have killed Cisco.
Yeah.
He would have killed Riker, just not Picard, just so we're clear. But, so, and then we get maybe the greatest moment of the movie, which is the Lily, Picard,
John Luke, blow up the damn ship!
No! And no! And,
We've made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I love that.
Very Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
We'll make them pay for what they've done.
Love it. Love it so much.
I love that
great.
speech. What I mostly love about it is that he's wrong. He makes a speech, and on almost every one of those speeches he makes in the show, he's right, and you come around to his way of thinking about something. In this one, he makes a great speech, but he's also wrong.
Well, and Lily calls him on it right away. Yeah. She's like,
"To hell with our orders."
Oh wait, that's the wrong. That's right.
Captain Ahab has to go hunt his whale.
She's like, you're a book she never even read, but she sees that he's just a man obsessed. He explains his background, why he was, but she's like, and he tries to throw her out. She's like, what? You'll kill Ensign Lynch like you'll kill me like you did Ensign Lynch, and so she's like really like kind of waking him up, right? And after this whole conversation, like he's like, let's blow up the ship.
I think that might be one of the reasons why I don't like her character, because she keeps pointing out the flaws in my favorite character.
Right?
Maybe
that's
why I don't like her.
Just like Raffi.
Oh, fuck
I
Raffi.
like her for that. I like her for that exact reason. I feel like this movie really shows how loyal to a fault they are to Picard.
Yes,
and the crew kisses his ass just like the way they kissed Zephyr Cochrane's ass, and it took a human from the 21st century to kind of go like, what the fuck is this? And then when she says, you broke your little ships, kind of like another dig. She keeps like just digging it into Picard's chest. I love it because Picard is like kind of, for me, he's a little bit full of himself of a character. He thinks he's hot shit. Like the one episode where he dies because he does of the mechanical heart episode with Q and everything.
The Nausicaan.
Yeah, Nausicaan and everything. Like he's so cocky and he's like, that's part of what makes me me, and he's like, if I didn't get stabbed by the Nausicaan, I would have been like this. He would have been Barkley.
Right.
He's bold.
Yeah, I just like, and after he comes out, he comes to their sensibilities. They do the auto destruct sequence, which is a really interesting sequence. Just them all getting in the escape pods and they're doing like the thing, kind of like shades of Star Trek 3 when they did the auto destruct. And then
or any other time they've done the auto destruct.
I just want to play this clip because it's my favorite part of the moment where Picard apologizes to Worf.
Mr. Worf. I regret some of the things I said to you earlier.
Only some, though.
So,
As a matter of fact, I think you're the bravest man I've ever known.
makes me tear up every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you on Gravette Island.
And just the music.
I like that score in the back, though.
The Jerry
The
Goldsmith.
background score there is amazing.
The
I love
Jerry
it.
Goldsmith score is amazing in this. Like
It is a good score.
They put it under some of these emotional moments, and it makes this movie pop so much more. It's also like Jerry Goldsmith did that original Star Trek: The Motion Picture score,
Yeah.
and every time Worf comes on screen, you hear that Klingon theme. It's like it's like some great callbacks in here, and just everything. Yeah, with Worf and Picard is a great moment, and he says goodbye to Lily. Says I gotta save Data because he saved me before, and I gotta stay behind. And so they all leave. Meanwhile, Jody and Riker are going on the launch with Cochrane and playing Magic Carpet Ride and doing all that stuff, which I don't think we have to touch on for too long. It's fine. But why do Riker and Jody get to go on this mission? Wouldn't it have been better to send up some 21st century people with him?
I guess you want to make sure it happened. They got it done. They've got knowledge to make sure it actually.
I think it just gave Jonathan Frakes and LeVar Burton something to do.
Yeah, I guess
they're not going to put two like stiffs in there,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it from the movie purpose. Just from a logic standpoint, it doesn't make
Where
sense.
did the escape pods go?
They were going to Gravetta Island,
Where's that?
an uninhabited island on Earth.
Oh, so they wouldn't be seen.
Right. That's why he says, "I'll see you on Gravetta Island." Right.
So maybe he
Because they're
needed
assuming
Lily as a
that there's going to be no
co-pilot.
ship and they're going to have to stay there.
Yeah.
He says to Lily, "This is orders for my crew to find a quiet corner
Live
of
out
North
North
America.
America."
Right.
And
You think that they would say, "Why don't you get a
Where the
boat
fuck is Worf gonna hide?
on Gravetta Island?"
Well, he's going to be with the people that know what
Yeah.
he is, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it'll be fun.
Yeah, it was orders like find a quiet part of North America and stay out of history's way. And then we get the final showdown in engineering with Data, Picard, and the Borg Queen, which I think is a decent enough finale of this movie. And I think we obviously all think pretty highly of this movie, so I think that the ending works well. We get the whole "Welcome back, Locutus." I love that line where she says, "You can still hear our song," and just like the trauma, the flashbacks, and that she was there back then. And he says, "Well, we blew up that ship. Why are all of you dead?" And she just makes this offhand remark about three-dimensional thinking or something. I don't know. So somehow we've seen that the Borg Queen has died a few times and come back. So
Well, they just download her into another one, right? Like,
yeah,
that's
the Borg
whole
Queen is
point.
kind of immortal, so it doesn't really seem to matter. But
Yeah.
so and then we see that has Data turned? Has Data been seduced by sex and real and feeling real flesh on his body, and whether or not he has a real dick now or not? It's these are all the questions that are going through our minds, right? So
No, not all of us. Not once watching this movie have I thought, does Data have a real dick? Not once.
I have
Now
either
you've
until
actually
Ashley
ruined it for
said
me.
to me yesterday.
Every time I watch this movie from now on, I'm going to think about Data's dick. And I'm going to be like, why am I thinking about Data's dick?
Right,
Oh, yeah,
Roden.
Dave Mater.
Might be ruining the movie. The data.
You might have actually ruined that for me. Thank you, Dave.
you're welcome.
It's okay. It won't stop me from watching it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what else? Is there anything other than like Picard is slowly taking off his clothes? But he offers himself like, take me, let Data go. But Data says, no, I want to stay here. I like it here. And so he unlocks the main computer. He deactivates the auto destruct, and then he fires 3 torpedoes at Stephen Cochrane.
Overkill.
And it's all looking like it's over. But then it's what do you call that?
A ruse?
A ruse. It's a ruse. And then he goes, resistance is futile. He just was doing it long enough so he could get close enough to punch that thing. And then
That
all
is the cringiest line in this whole goddamn movie is when Data says resistance is futile.
It's
Yeah.
so weird.
It's
I
so
like it.
weird. It doesn't
I
need
like
to be there.
I like it.
resistance is futile.
You got to remember this movie came out in 1996.
I got a plane flying by apparently.
Is that you?
Yeah, there's a plane flying by apparently.
Did it fly right over your roof?
Well, Kevin and I aren't too far away from each other, so I'm
No, I
imagine he
hear
can
it.
probably hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're within walking distance of each other.
Right. And so we're at the okay, so like the finale. Yeah, I love like the effect of the Borg Queen dying in that plasma stuff where all her skin's like melting off.
And then all she is she's the T-101 or the T-800
Terminator.
from Terminator.
Yeah.
She becomes a Terminator.
Right. Yeah, she becomes a Terminator, and then that's kind of the end, right?
I like how you kind of see her like kind of chirping around though after she's just the skull and the spine, and she's like
right, and you know,
and then
definitely
finally they just
and,
kill her, and he snaps her. He snaps her.
Yeah, he snaps the neck, right, and Data's like, I'm kind of sad she's dead, and Picard doesn't say it, but you think Picard's like, really? You're kind of sad she's
Maybe
dead?
Picard was like, did she give you a real dick, Data?
That should have been the next line after that. It should have been. Did you fuck?
Yeah.
It should have been like, I was tempted by her offer.
Picard should have like tapped on his thing and went, hey. And Data's like, yes, Captain. And he's like, you tap that? That's what should have happened.
I will never look at this movie the same
I'm
way.
gonna think of fucking Data's dick every time I see this fucking movie now.
Or is it possible that Locutus?
All I'm
did
saying
it
is
too?
that Data's
You never know.
cybernetic dick might have got grafted on real human tissue, like it did onto his face and to his arm,
Well,
just so
it'd be
his
gone now
sex,
then.
right? But maybe not. Maybe they left the original android skin on his dick, and that's what he used.
He's in that part of the ship for a long time. I mean,
Oh, there's that plane again.
the question is, does Data have,
Running drugs or something.
This is like the best podcast ever.
does Data have a android dick?
Why are we fucking talking about this?
This is important. This is what
You've
science.
already ruined this
functional.
goddamn movie for me. It was bad enough that fucking, during Next Gen, I had to think about the fact that he slept with Tasha Yar.
I don't think he would have an android dick. I think he would look like a Ken doll. So
No,
he's
fully
anatomically
functional.
correct. They
He says
told you
he's
this already.
I know, but how
And
is he
he's fully functional.
as an android is he fully functional?
They got different lubes.
Just
or
the way he
something. I
has
don't know.
fingers, he has a dick.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody. Like,
Yeah.
On that note, I got
balloon.
guys.
okay, well, hey, I think we're done.
Kevin's
The
like,
movie.
I'm done.
No, I do. I actually have to go. But if you're gonna rate them, I give this one a 9.
Oh yes. Okay, 9. Okay, so let's. Kevin, we know you have to go. So
Yeah.
goodbye.
All right, bye, guys.
See ya. There he goes. Okay.
He didn't
so
want to hear about dicks anymore. That's what it was.
he's giving
I
this
don't
a
blame
9, and that gives us a segment because we're pretty much at the end of the movie. Which the only thing left, I guess, is the first contact scene, right?
Which is pretty boring.
Well, okay. So did you see that it was going to be the Vulcans?
Oh, yeah. We already knew it was Vulcans.
We didn't know it was going to be the Vulcans.
Well,
Yeah.
Troy says it earlier in the movie that it's too primitive. She good guys. Yeah, she doesn't say
She
who.
doesn't say. She doesn't name. No, we didn't know who the first contact.
I know. When I first
was
watched it, I was
once he
surprised.
takes off the hood. I definitely had an aha moment the first time I saw it, where I was like, okay, that makes sense. They would be the Vulcans, but it had never been said that humans met Vulcans first or anything like that in the history of Star Trek up to that point.
Are you sure
Trust
about that?
me. Yes. Why do
Yeah,
you always not believe me?
It was an aha moment.
You're always
yeah.
like,
Read wikis all the time. You think that's
I also
dog-
watch it. I talk about Star Trek 3 times a week. I know my facts.
During the original series.
I'm with Dave
Ever
from
since
a
I got
different.
that
When
doctor
I
on the
first saw it,
Stargazer wrong,
Huh?
you've been saying I don't know what it.
no, it was an aha moment. It was supposed to be a surprise. It was the Vulcans, and I was surprised first time I watched it. I remember that. I don't remember much. I don't have his memory, but I do remember that. Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah.
No, it could be obvious. Like I like that.
Hindsight, it's very obvious, but for me, whenever I watched it,
What if it had been like an Andorian?
That would have been awesome. I would have loved it to have been in.
It could be like any Federation
Not Betazoid,
member, original member.
not Betazoid or whatever, because that would have been just like someone like Troy walking out there. When...
All right, so ratings.
Yeah, so let's do our ratings for this movie then.
I'll do 9.5 again. I can't do 10.
I'm giving this a 9.5 as well. Jeff?
9.6.
To beat me? Mom's not here? Jody?
Oh, this is going to be hard. I'm going to go with a 9.
Wow. So that's pretty strong all the way across. So that means our
It's
average
a good movie.
is 9.3 for this movie. And that puts it ahead of anything we've watched so far. So I think collectively, we'll get ratings from Ashley and maybe
Undiscovered
later,
Country has a 9.6, isn't it?
9.2.
Undiscovered Country is
I can't
at
see it. It's kind of blurry.
9.2.
Oh,
Wow.
sorry. I was looking at the other one. Average male.
Yeah. So I've been going with the men versus the women, and then if you go with the just the IMDb rating for this movie is 7.6, which I think is a little underselling it. Where you compare that, like Star Trek Into Darkness as a 7.7 in IMDb,
no. Yeah.
like, and even
Yeah,
Star
but
Trek-
you have to understand, you're talking different people viewing this movie. The Star Trek reboots were really made for average Joe Schmo who doesn't really appreciate the Star Trek universe. They just wanted to see an action movie. Like Candace loves the reboot of Star Trek. She loves that movie.
I like that movie a lot too.
Whereas, if you got her to watch the next gen one, she would be like, eh.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
She's not a Star Trek person. She's
Okay.
not a fan,
Even
but
like-
she loves the.
Oh, we should get her
2009.
on the podcast
And
for
like
that
Rotten
one.
Tomatoes rates this movie very high at like a 93% tomato meter and an 89% audience score. So it's coming out still at a 7.6, but and an 8.5 overall.
I still think Undiscovered Country is better than this movie. Personally,
it's pretty close. Like overall, like so we're talking about a point rating between all of it, but so I think we've peaked. We'll see how these other movies that are coming up in the next few weeks, including Insurrection and Nemesis.
Insurrection. Bleh.
Even just to see where they fall in sort of the bad movie order, I'm kind of curious about too. So
Insurrection is way worse than Nemesis.
Yeah, so
I just rewatched it. It's terrible.
Yeah, we got a couple of tough weeks ahead of us here, everybody.
Oh,
we got
that's brutal.
Insurrection, then Nemesis, then we got the 2009 Star Trek, which I won't mind rewatching.
I just recently watched that again too, and now I'm into Darkness, and I wish I was in Darkness because that's a terrible movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, well, hey, so any final thoughts before we close out?
Undiscovered Country is better. This is a good movie, better in Generations.
It's my favorite probably movie for Star Trek, but
Really?
doesn't mean it's the best one. It's just my favorite. That's why
It's the whole Back to the Future mentality, right?
Yeah,
pretty much everybody likes Back to the Future, but everybody has a favorite of the three.
Yeah, which me and Dave both like 2 the most, which everybody says they hate though.
Yeah, I don't like 2.
I like 2 for different reasons that I like 1. But if I had to pick between the 2 of them, 1 is better.
Yeah.
I don't like 3 all that much though.
It's my least favorite out of it, but I will tell you, as you get older and you watch that, it is a better movie.
Oh, I don't just think the movie is like, I don't dislike the movie. It's not my I like the other 2 so much more. For me, I like the 50s.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really like how they ended the trilogy, but anyway, this isn't anything to do with this.
This has nothing to do with anything, but yeah, it's but yes,
maybe on a different show that the Mater brothers may have.
Yeah, you guys should do rewatch of Back to the Future.
That would be.
Oh, that's easy. That's only 3 movies.
Or Indiana Jones
we could even
too.
just do one podcast.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, it's all one continual story, right? So
right. Okay, everybody. Thank you, Jody, Jeff, Jane, Kevin, and Ashley, who for everybody on the podcast today. And we'll be back next week for Star Trek Insurrection. That we're not excited about, but we have to do it. And then make sure to subscribe, everybody. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are doing Deep Space Nine podcast on Tuesday. We're going to be doing the Q episode this coming Tuesday, Q-less, the only Deep Space Nine Q episode. We're also doing Classic Trek rewatches on Thursdays with my dad, our dad, and Jody. So check those out. We're going to be doing Mud's Women coming up this Thursday. We also have Trivial Debates that's going to be airing next Sunday, hosted by Jody.
I gotta
Simpson.
get ready for that. Apparently,
so get ready for that.
Should I wear a tux?
You should maybe. You're the host for that one. Judge, jury, and executioner for Trivial Debates. So check out Trivial Debates. What is that? Sunday the 31st. Yeah. So we're doing that on the last Sunday of every month. So check out Trivial Debates, everybody. And until then, live long on podcast on long life, and everybody have a safe tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.